I thought I told you that I would see you back, and I'm so glad that you're here with me to finish this book. Remember what he was doing? Think about what the character in this story, Uncle Sam, was doing. I hope you said constructing something cool, building something big, because remember, he worked day and night. Or I'm sorry, he didn't work during the day. He worked at a tile factory. He worked all night. He worked on Sundays on it and on holidays when he wasn't working at the tile factory. So do you remember how we left off? And I put my bookmark right here to remind us where we left off. But before we do that, I'm going to show you the pictures, and we're going to quickly just talk about our picture walk. Remember how the story started with one tile? But then Uncle Sam creates and creates, and his niece helps him and creates, and we're starting to see what he's building and how he uses mortar to make it all combine together. And we left off finally seeing some of what he has created. He created a ship, a tower, and a garden. Those are the things that he started to see. He started to build all those things. But that's not everything that he built. Do you want to read the rest? In his strange mix of Italian and English that was difficult for all of us to understand, he told us about the great towers and the ship he'd seen as a child in the parades of his village of Rib Atali towers. That were 6 stories high. So he didn't speak very good English, but they got the kids in the town of Watts, California, did see. Look at how long his arms are. They look a little long, whoever illustrated it, but that's okay. He must be a cool man. Look at, he's talking to all those kids. So his speech is pretty broken up, but they kind of get where he was from and why he's building it. Uncle Sam worked long into the night, singing to himself. He hung like a firefly. Turn out the lights, Uncle Sam. I'm working up here. Every day the trains pass by with tens of thousands of passengers a week going to and from Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a big, giant town, city in California. They live on the outside of California. So in order to get into the city, they take a train. The towers were Uncle Sam's stage. The passengers were his audience. So the train went back and forth, and everybody on the train saw what Uncle Sam was creating and building and constructing. Dust from the train swirled around him, but he didn't let that bother him. He was in the spotlight. Do you think he liked to be the center of attention or in the spotlight, is what the book said? I think he liked it because he was very proud of his work. Do you think? Do you think he had a smile on his face? I think so too. Another tower rose. He kept on creating more. Uncle Sam showed my children the triangles in the branches of the trees. Triangles, he said, were the strongest shape, and he built the towers with triangles day after day, year after year. Isn't that cool? So we're seeing like the inside of this tower. So it's all around him. So the picture is kind of hard to see, but it's a pretty big tower. And he uses triangles because they're the strongest. He probably knows the best because he's been constructing this for many years. He showed me and my children the beauty of broken angels, a bowling ball, a boot, the usefulness of the airplane wing, the patterned shells and rocks were made. Uncle Sam was like a spider weaving in the web of steel and cement and lacy shadows. The third tower was his last. He wrote his initials in the cement. He wrote, "Our town, a village for the world." So he was creating this. And I want you to think back to when she was trying to collect things, right? She was a little girl then. I'm noticing that Uncle Sam is getting older too. Now that little girl has her own kids. So this is probably 20 years later that he's still working on this. Wow, he must really like to do it. Not long after that, Uncle Sam suddenly put away his tools and jewels and stopped building. We were all surprised. So he didn't build things anymore. I wonder why he stopped building things. Maybe he was getting too old. Maybe his body was hurting. Because if he was building those things, he's probably on his hands and knees doing that. And that would hurt after a while. Let's read to find out. That's just my prediction. He put on a suit, pinned his life savings inside, and gave the deed to his triangular lot with his ships and towers, fountains and gardens to a friend, and walked away. And we never saw Uncle Sam again. So he gave his house. He was building this cool thing right outside his house, and he just walked away. He gave somebody the house. He was a kind man too. I just learned that about him. But I remember him, my Uncle Sam, my neighbor for 34 years. He was a dreamer. Remember? The name of the book was Dream Something Big. So his niece was calling him a dreamer. He dreamed something up in his head and he created it over years and years and years. So every time somebody goes on that train, they see his creation. People no longer called Simon foolish and crazy. They called him a man of genius who built giant flowers of folk art. A man with a heart full of gratitude to the country that had invited him to dream without limits, the country that had given him the freedom to reach for the sky. Uncle Sam's Something Big is now a national landmark. So he came over to the United States, to California, and people called him crazy. But I'm guessing that he passed away because he got really old. And now what he created became a national landmark, which means people from all around the world go and see it. Now I want you to think about this. This is what the illustrations were, right? They made a collage. The illustrator made a collage of the pictures of what it looks like. But here, there's actual pictures. So that's what it really looks like. Ooh, I wonder, and I haven't done this before, but I am very curious to know more about this man that created all of those. I'm going to try to find some, and I might be able to post another video so we can learn more about Simon. I don't know. That's what books do. Sometimes books make me think, I wonder more. I want to know more about Simon. So I'm going to dig a little deeper in the research and try to find more about him. And if I find more, I don't know how popular he was. I don't know if I will be able to find more. If I do, I will post a video of the link right below. Sound awesome? All right.